Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my channel, Vedic Living. This is Shri, and today I want to tell you the important predictions for the month of September of this year. This is a very eventful month. I cannot stress this enough. There are so many shifts happening in the sky, planets which are retrograde, going direct, planets changing signs, and then we have a lot of connections of the transits with the United States chart. And so I want you to wait till the very end of this video because I'm going to tell you the most important date in this month, which is going to be the most eventful for United States. Okay. All right. So before we go forward, if you want to see your chart and see where these degrees are happening in your own chart, go to my website, www.vedicliving.com, and use the free chart calculator to calculate your chart. And hence you can see all the degrees of the planets in the chart. And that way you can see what is getting triggered in your own personal chart. While you're there, do sign up for my newsletter because I will be sending out very detailed predictions for September around the end of this month. So make sure you sign up for that. It's free. It comes directly to your inbox and it has a lot of details. So without further ado, let's go forward to look at this particular month. Now, when I think of the month of September, I want to tell you two things. One, think of this particle that's on top of a waterfall. Okay, it's just about to fall off the side, right, into the waterfall. But then once the waterfall has subsided, it's beautiful, calm waters, right, just after it has subsided. So the month of September is that point right before these events happen. And I've told you this in the past too. I mean, even the last week of August, 22nd and 23rd of August is going to be kind of like a starting point. But the month of September is in reality the biggest kind of, I would say, the linchpin where things will start off from. Okay. And then the momentum builds till the end of the year, till December. And then we have, a calm period after that. But I also want to tell you the big picture. Planetary transits wise in the sky, this is a 15-year cycle that started 2015 and it'll end in 2030. And I will make another video on what I think about the year 2030, because that's going to be the most transformational year for the entire planet. We are going to go from one way of thinking to a completely enlightened. It's almost like, in Hindu mythology, there is this concept of lokas, right? And it's not just mythology, in Hindu cosmology, I should say. I think the year 2030 is where we step into a new enlightened period. And whatever is happening starting 2015 till 2030, it's all steps that are building up to that point in 2030. Okay. The reason I mentioned that is we are right now at the midpoint of that 15-year cycle. 2023 is going to be the midpoint. And out of 2023, the September month is going to be the most eventful. And you know me, I don't like just looking at the transits and trying to understand what's happening. I like my research. I go back and I research what happened the last time this happened, or so that I can give you more information, so that I can tell you what to kind of look for as this time comes. And as I looked at it, what really came out to me was the fact that these transits that I'm going to tell you, and of course, I look at a lot of country charts, because when I see a planet stationing at a certain degree, or it's transiting a certain degree, I look to see in country charts if there are specific planets at those degrees or cusps at those degrees. And that's what tells me that that particular country is going to be in the limelight during that entire event, right? It's like the main actor on the stage during a particular act of a Broadway play. So we know what's happening in this month, and I'll tell you all the transits for this month. I've looked at a lot of country charts, and I think the chart of United States is the most triggered by these aspects. So I'll be going over that towards the end, but before that, I want to give you the general kind of predictions for this month. But make sure you watch till the end, because I'm going to tell you that one date. It's actually a two-day period at the end of September, which is going to be the most impactful for the upcoming month's events. Okay. So the very first thing I want to say, like I said, very eventful month. When I say a month is eventful, what I actually mean is that there's a lot of changes happening in the sky. Planets going direct, planets going retrograde, planets stationing, planets changing signs, all kinds of things are happening. Okay. So let's start at the very beginning. I'm going to start with Mercury. Mercury is retrograde, right? Because it's going to end up being retrograde through the last part of August, and then it's going to go direct in September. When the month of September starts, Mercury is going to be retrograde, and then it goes direct on September 16th. The sign that Mercury goes direct in is very important. It's in the sign of Leo. What does Leo rule? It rules government. It rules leadership. It rules world leaders or rulers. And in your personal life, it rules your sense of confidence, your leaders at your work, the kind of impression you get from them or what they say to you during this time frame. And it rules politics. So these are going to be center stage as Mercury goes direct this month, okay, in the month of September. So while it's retrograde through the first 2 weeks of September, it goes direct on the 16th of September. There's another date that is very, very crucial. On September 4th, Venus is going to go direct. Now, the reason why this date is so crucial is because on the exact same day, Jupiter goes retrograde. So it's almost like a relay race, right? They've exchanged batons. So Venus goes direct on September 4th. Jupiter goes retrograde on the same day. So that's a very important, sensitive point that you have to remember, because what does Venus going direct mean? All the stuff that has been happening on the relationship front, where your relationship, your long-term relationships have been tested, right? Your relationships are being tested during this period when Venus is retrograde. Venus retrograde or Saturn retrograde in the 7th house. These are the two things that can make that happen. The testing of one-on-one relationships. So all of that has been going on is coming to an end. And when Venus goes direct on September 4th, it's like a brand new day, right? For relationships. You've understood a lot more about your partner. And when I say partner, it's relationship partner or business partner, right? You've understood a lot more about them. You have made a lot of changes on your end. They have made changes on their end. They're compromising, you're compromising. All of those things have shuffled and they've all fallen in place. So that's what Venus going direct means. And on the world side, you will see more a kind of a hunger for peace, right? People want things to be amicable with Venus direct. They want things to be peaceful. Venus is the planet that rules peace. But then Jupiter goes Jupiter goes retrograde on the same exact day. What that means is that Jupiter, if it's going retrograde on that day and Venus is going direct on that day, it means that the day before or so, both of them were stationed. So that's important, because when they are stationed, that means whenever a planet is stationed in the sky, it's telling you, pay attention to me. I'm the most important here. So I think when Jupiter is stationed and when Venus is stationed and one goes direct, one goes retrograde, that's a very critical point for the world. And I think that's going to be a good thing, though. It's going to bring about a spiritual awakening. Jupiter is the guru. It's the spiritual teacher. It's going to bring a lot of revelations at that level, at the subconscious level, at the spiritual level for everybody. Okay, so I think that's a good thing. But Jupiter going retrograde, of course, as it begins to pick up speed and momentum going backwards, things are going to be a little more difficult. You will see problems with hurricanes and storms, and there can be weather-related disturbances, okay, because it's all happening in Aries. And but the fact that Venus is going direct, that's a good thing. Now, Mars is always considered the trigger planet, always. When you have these large planets like Saturn and Jupiter making huge transits, they can be, transiting a certain point in your chart for a long time. But Mars is the trigger factor. Mars and Moon, they are the ones that cause events to happen. Mars is in Virgo right now, right? And this is the reason why I think, especially with Mars being in Virgo, which is an earth sign, Virgo is considered the natural sixth house. It's the work. It's, struggles when it comes to work. It's making your voice heard. It's riots. It's strikes. So this is why I think, the strike in Hollywood with the writer's strike and other things around the world that are similar, that's the reason it's happening is because of this Mars and Virgo, because Virgo rules your day-to-day life, your work. It rules health related things, right? Because remember, for the August predictions I was telling you, when Mars is in Virgo, you have to take better care of yourself. It's immunity. You have to bring your immunity up. You'll be more focused on that, which is a good thing. Okay. Now, Mars in Virgo does cause discord, okay, disagreements. People don't agree with each other all the time. And I'm going to come to why this is affecting the United States chart at the end of this video, because that's when I tell you specific to one country what's going on. But right now, just overall with Mars being in Virgo, it's causing those kind of issues. The nodes, very important. The nodes Rahu and Ketu are going to be at around 0 degrees of Aries and Libra. This is a very, very sensitive point, because right after this, the nodes will go into 29 degrees of Pisces, which is the Gandhanta degree, okay, which is the feeling of being out of control. Now, the nodes being here, remember the nodes are always the karmic axis of the chart. I tell all my clients this when they ask me, what is my karmic lesson in this lifetime? What am I here to do as a soul? We always look at the nodes, Rahu and Ketu. The fact that they're at 0 degrees Aries, and just imagine, 0 degrees Aries is where the zodiac, the natural zodiac, the Kalapurusha chart starts. It starts at 0 degrees Aries. And the crazy thing is the nodes are not just going to be there for a day. They are going to be there for a few months at that exact degree. So this is very important. If you have planets at that cusp of Aries or Libra, or even 29 degrees of Pisces or Virgo, the nodes are exactly stationed on them, which means a lot of events that are happening in the coming 2 to 3 months. This is still the end of November, this transit of the nodes being at that degree mark. It's going to bring karmic experiences to you. Things that are happening will feel like, it's almost like, it's bringing back things from the past for karmic resolution. And when I say past, it can be past lives or past in this lifetime. But it brings back those things that you have done in the past, your actions that you have done in the past, they come back, because this is the time when you have to look at that, resolve it, review it, and close it. So that's why the nodes being at this degree mark is so important. And this is very unique that they're sitting at that 0 degree mark from September till all the way till the end of November. So it's another reason why I think the month of September is really the starting point of everything that's going to take us till December, because of the nodes, because they are sitting at that 0 degree mark of Aries, which is the beginning of the zodiac. And then when they do move in the end of November, they're going to be at 29 degrees, which is that Gandhanta degree, guys, right? That's the part, that's the degree where you feel like things are happening around you, which you're not able to get a grasp on. You can't control it. You're like, I don't know what's going on. It's confusing. And that's okay, because through all those changes comes out positive outcome. And that's what we are all going towards. That's why I was telling you about the 15-year cycle. We are kind of going towards a better world here, but we have to get there. And that's why this year is so critical and crucial, especially the month of September. For United States, the days 22nd, 23rd, and 24th of September are going to be very extra crucial. I'm going to explain more about that as I get to the end. I'm just giving you something so you can hang on, because I don't want to confuse everybody with a country prediction while I'm giving general predictions. But in the end, I'm going to tell you what that is, okay? Now, another thing with the nodes sitting at that 0 degree mark, what is associated with the nodes? Eclipses. So what happens to that eclipse in October? The eclipses in October will be at that 0 degree mark. Very crucial. New beginnings. Things are ending and new things are beginning. 0 degree is the beginning of the zodiac. Eclipses signify beginnings. So this October eclipse is going to be incredibly powerful. And of course, you know that I make videos on eclipses. So we'll talk more in detail about that, but I want you to think about that. When it goes into the 29 degree mark of Pisces, it's in Revati Nakshatra, which is very important. Revati Nakshatra is the nakshatra that rules travel and spirituality. If you have a strong Revati Nakshatra in your chart, you're always protected in travel. And another thing, you are a very spiritual person from the deepest core of your being. That's Revati. It's the deep, dark waters, right? What does that signify? It signifies everything that has to do with health, well-being, work, all the stuff that Mars has been doing in Virgo with the strikes and the riots and the indignation, right? I'm owed this, I need to get this, and I'm asking for my rights. That's what Mars is doing. But then once the eclipses happen there, it's going to bring out something into the open. Things are going to be revealed. And then hence it'll result in healing. As we were saying, Jupiter is going to go retrograde on September 4th. Jupiter always signifies the economy, especially when it is sitting with planets like Uranus, and it's sitting in the sign that is ruled by Mars, which is Aries. It will indicate real estate market, the economy, the financial market. And when Jupiter goes retrograde on September 4th, these are the areas that are impacted. When Jupiter goes retrograde, it stations at 21 degrees on September 4th. So I want you to remember that if you have planets at 21 degrees of Aries or 21 degrees of Libra, this is a good thing, because Jupiter stationing on there means there is something that's going to come in terms of expansion or growth or happiness, optimism. Something good is going to come out of that. So I like that it's stationed at that degree, at 21 degrees. But once it goes retrograde, things are going to slow down a bit in the areas of economy, financial market, real estate. All of those things are going to slow down, right? Because when a planet is retrograde, it's telling us to slow down the progress and review what we are doing so that we can do the right things when the planet goes direct. Now, I did tell you in the beginning of this video that September 24th, 22nd to 24th is incredibly crucial for the country of United States. Whatever I told you so far is world predictions, or I've been talking about general things, right? General things that can affect an individual, can affect people, it can, all of that. But when I look at the predictions for a month, I always look at country charts, the main countries, and I'll try to see the degrees where they are, right? Where are these planets or these degrees getting affected? And it didn't surprise me to see that United States chart was the most affected. Okay. Now, before I come to why I think so, and I'm going to pull up the chart of United States right here so you can look at it. What I'm going to tell you is very crucial, because what is happening is that the planet Mars, sitting in Virgo, is going to trigger multiple aspects in the United States chart. So I'm pulling up the chart of United States right here. Mars is sitting in Virgo. In Vedic astrology, we talk about the 6-8 aspect. In Western astrology, they call it a quincunx. But in Vedic astrology, it's called a Shashti Ashtaka. Shashti meaning 6th, Ashtaka means 8th. The 6-8 aspect is very important because it usually brings hardship. It brings problems. But remember, the 6th house is also an Upachaya house. So through these problems, you overcome them and you become better. Right? So that's the idea of an Upachaya house. There's issues there, but you're aware of it. You're not blind to it. There are issues, but then you overcome it. It gives you the ability to overcome it. That's why the 6th house rules enemies, because it gives you not only does it give you enemies, at the same time, it gives you the ability to overcome the opposition. So Mars sitting in Virgo is a very big trigger point for United States. Why? Look at Aquarius. Moon is sitting in Aquarius in United States chart. Okay, so this is the reason why Mars sitting in Virgo is a big trigger point. But I do my research. I like to research and go back and look when this happened. Mars being in Virgo is not a rare occurrence. It happens approximately every 2 years. So we can't really say that this is this big event that's going to happen. But I'm going to tell you why I think this is going to be a big thing, this time frame. Because there are 2 other aspects that are going to come on that same time frame, which will then cause that kind of an event. Okay, we'll talk more about what that means for us. Now, the first thing I want to tell you, in the transit chart, okay, not in the United States chart, in the transit chart, Mars in Virgo is again a very volatile placement. Because if you look in the Shashti Ashtaka, which means the 6-8 aspects, Mars is going to aspect Saturn sitting in Aquarius, 6th aspect. This is going to be on September 1st. Mars will aspect Saturn. And now Saturn, whenever Mars aspects Saturn, that's going to be a contention point, right? Because Saturn likes to slow down. Mars likes to be like speeding up. It's a fast planet. It likes to move. So when these 2 aspect each other, it is actually a point of contention. There's going to be more things that come about with strikes and riots, and even the writers' strike in Hollywood or other similar things that are happening. There can be more coming out on those levels. But I also want to remind you, Mars-Saturn coming together gives incredible willpower. I've seen this in a lot of charts of people, celebrities. Jeff Bezos has the Mars-Saturn aspect. It gives willpower. It makes you really resolute in what you want to do. That's, I think, another reason why I think people have the ability to overcome that problem too. Okay, so September 1st is one date, Mars, Saturn, 6th aspect. September 19th, Mars is going to aspect Jupiter sitting in Aries. Mars in Virgo, Jupiter in Aries. It's the 8th aspect. Remember the Ashtaka, right? The 8th aspect. This will affect the economy. This is not great for the economy because Jupiter, like I said, even when Jupiter goes retrograde, things will slow down. But the Mars aspect is a trigger factor on September 19th. It's going to bring about something in terms of finances, money, economy, banking, that, you know, it could be a decision that's made. It could be some kind of news that comes out that could affect that market. September 30th. What other planet is sitting in Aries? Uranus. So Mars will aspect Uranus by its 8th aspect on September 30th. Another crucial date. What does Uranus rule? It rules unexpected events, turbulence, electrical issues, right? There can be power surges, power blackouts. It can cause accidents. Uranus rules storms, weather phenomena, can be all kinds of unpredictable weather phenomena, and Mars is aspecting it fully. And also earthquakes. Mars is sitting in Virgo, which is a earth sign, and Uranus rules unexpected events. So there can be earthquakes. So those are the things that you can kind of remember for that date. Now let me come to you with the most crucial, the most important thing that I wanted to tell you about this month. I've never seen something like this happening before. So I myself don't know what to really expect, because when I did the research and I went back and looked at times in the past when these three things have come together, which I'm going to tell you, it's never happened before. I went back all the way till the year 1776 to see if this has ever happened before. Three things happening at the same time. Okay. The first thing, United States chart, moon sits at 7 degrees Aquarius. Saturn will be exactly on that moon between the dates of 23rd and 24th of September. Now, we have talked about this at length in past. This is a Sade Sati. Whenever Saturn is over the moon, it's going on, transiting on the moon. In a natal chart, it's a 7.5-year period, right? But when it's exactly on that degree mark, when there are other transits happening that can also support it, it really does signify an event. Okay. So Saturn will be at 7 degrees of Aquarius, exactly on the United States moon. Is that a rare thing? No, that happens once every 30 years. Okay. So I'm going to tell you the research that I did here. So that happens once every 30 years. So, it happened in 1993, then 1963. And each time it happens, what it does is Saturn rules the second house in United States chart. So it brings about, or moon rules the 8th house too, right? Moon rules the 8th house in United States chart. So it's usually something to do with finances, the dollar, the currency, the banking, the economy, those kind of areas. It's to do with communications, electrical disturbances. There can be communication breakdown sometimes, right? Because it's sitting in the 3rd house of United States chart. So that happens every 30 years. That's the first thing, Saturn going over the moon. What makes this unique is that at the exact same time, on the same day, Mars in Virgo is going to be exactly on United States Saturn. United States has Saturn in Virgo in the 10th house. Mars will be exactly on it. Now, this is unique. These two things happening at the same time, I've not seen that happen before. And I'm going to tell you a third thing that you can add to the mix. Okay. But for now, Saturn on moon in the 3rd house of United States chart, Mars on Saturn in the 10th house of United States chart. What is Mars aspecting Saturn in the 10th house? Leaders, government, politics. It has to do with changes in the way we interact with other countries, changes in the way we do our business. 10th house is career. So in a country chart, it's the way we interact with the other countries in terms of trade and business, money, finances. So those are the areas that are getting affected. And don't forget, in the United States chart, that Saturn that's sitting in the 10th house rules the 2nd house of finances and money. So that's another thing. Communications are affected because Saturn rules the 3rd house of communications. And radio communications, wireless, satellites, there can be some event that affects all of these areas. Now, like I said, Mars going on the Saturn happens once every 2 years. But what makes us unique is that at the same time, on the same day, you have these two transits happening. You could still find this. If you go back and research, maybe there is a time in the last 250 years when this happened. But there's another thing that's happening. There's a third aspect that's also happening. And when you bring that into the mix, Those three together have never happened before. That's why I think this is a very triggering point for United States. On the same time frame, this September 23rd and 24th, Sun is going to be in Virgo, and it's going to sixth aspect. Remember, the sixth aspect is conflicts, difficulties, issues, troubles. Sixth aspect on that Saturn, and it's going to sixth aspect the Moon in United States chart. Now, when you think of these three things happening at the same time, never happened before. I went back and looked. So this is a very crucial time, September 23rd and 24th. I think there's going to be a big event. It could be even if it's, it's not very evident at the time, it could be a decision that's made. I know the UN meeting, the summit, is happening at that same time, right, in New York. Could be a decision that's made about the future of United States. But the area that this particular transit will affect, the three transits coming together, September 23rd and 24th, the areas that will affect is economy, money, finances, dollar, the currency, the way we interact with other countries, our trade relations, because that's the 10th house, our communications, right? The wireless and radio and all the other electromagnetic communication techniques that we use. So there can be those kind of issues. There can be weather, unexplained weather phenomena, because, Uranus is sitting in Aries, like we talked about it earlier. But these are the two dates I want you to watch in September 23rd and 24th, okay? In terms of a world event or a decision or a summit. Like we said, the UN summit is happening at that time, but it may not be that. It may be something else. But those two dates, it doesn't look that good. Those three transits that are happening, all three transits involve malefics: Mars, Saturn, Sun. Sun and Saturn don't get along. They're not friends. But I want to tell you one more thing about the Sarisati. Sarisati brings something out into the open, right? And whenever a Sarisati happens, things become, it's like we get into the next phase of our life, right? We are going to a better world. So this is going to bring about a healing, especially in the sign of Virgo. There's going to be a health crisis, then there's going to be a healing, and it's going to make things much better. We'll do things much better after that. So this is an awakening. It's a spiritual awakening that's coming up. So this is a very eventful month, like I said. It's a great time, like I said, to set goals and intentions for yourself. But all this confusion and chaos that's happening around you, I want you to remember to connect to your inside, to your core, and remember that the more positive you bring up your consciousness to be, the more the mass consciousness rises. So that's what we should, each one of us, try to do, because these events that are happening, the planets are constantly moving in the sky. So it's pretty much nothing we can do, but we can do one thing. We can bring up the positive in the society, and we can embrace the changes that are coming, because these are required, especially when Saturn is involved. It's karmic. It's a karmic change that's coming. So let's prepare ourselves for it. And I'll come back to you with more videos for this month, because this is a very important month. So we'll be talking more about this, but remember these dates. And as always, thank you for supporting my channel.